The discovery. The Martian desert stretched endlessly under the pale sun. Red sand blew across broken cliffs, covering secrets that had been buried for ages. Humanity thought they knew Mars. They had mapped every canyon, every crater. But they were wrong. It began with a faint signal. A strange, repeating pulse caught by an old listening station on Phobos. At first, the scientists dismissed it. Mars had many echoes. Magnetic storms, buried ice, shifting rocks. But this signal was too perfect, too steady. It was not natural. Dr. Elena Cade, lead of the Mars Research Division, played the sound again in the underground lab, a hollow thrum, like a heartbeat in the dust. Her assistants leaned closer, silent, almost afraid. "This is not from Earth," she whispered. The team triangulated the signal, tracing it to a barren stretch of desert near the Valles Marineris. There was nothing there, at least nothing on the surface. When the first excavation machines began digging, the sand shifted in ways that felt unnatural. Massive slabs of blackened metal appeared, scarred and melted, but impossibly strong. The deeper they dug, the more the Earth resisted, as if Mars itself did not want this secret revealed. Then the machines struck something vast, a curved hull. The workers froze. The structure beneath them stretched farther than their scanners could measure. It was not a ruin. It was a ship. Days later, Dr. Cade stood at the edge of the excavation site, staring down at the exposed surface. It was ancient, yet it gleamed faintly as though time could not touch it. Alien markings ran across the plating, glowing faintly when human hands brushed against them. One engineer recoiled. "It's reacting to us." The discovery was classified immediately. No broadcast, no leaks. Officially, the site was labeled a mineral research zone. But in truth, humanity had just uncovered the wreckage of something that did not belong to their world. The Council would never allow this. The Galactic Council, with its strict rules, forbade humans from handling alien technology. To them, Earth was young, reckless, unworthy of advanced tools. If they learned of this find, they would seize it, perhaps even erase all who had seen it. But as the excavation continued, something strange happened. The deeper they went, the more the ship seemed alive. Energy flickered faintly in its veins. Once, during a storm, arcs of blue light jumped across the wreckage, forcing the team to retreat. Dr. Cade wrote in her private log that night, "It is not dead. Whatever this ship was, it remembers, and I fear it has been waiting for us." When they finally uncovered the central core, silence fell over the entire camp. It was a colossal chamber, lined with black steel, shaped in ways no human engineer could understand. In the center stood a crystal-like engine, fractured but still glowing faintly, pulsing like a star trapped in glass. One technician reached out, trembling, and the crystal flared at his touch. Lights raced along the ship's walls, humming with power for the first time in thousands of years. The ground shook. Dust rained from the cliffs. Every sensor screamed with readings no one could comprehend. And then, for just a moment, the ship spoke. Not in words, not in sound, but in a deep, bone-chilling echo that every human in the chamber felt inside their mind. A whisper, cold, alien, and yet strangely familiar. Awakened, the lights flickered out as quickly as they came. Silence fell again. The core dimmed. But the humans knew. This was no simple wreck. It was not just metal buried in the sand. It was something more. Something that had slept for longer than their species had existed. And now, because of them, it was awake. Dr. Cade stood at the center of the chamber, staring at the crystal core, her heart racing. The others looked to her for guidance, fear in their eyes. "What do we do?" one asked. She answered without hesitation. "We take it home." The decision was reckless, dangerous, perhaps even suicidal. But in that moment, she felt it in her bones. This was humanity's chance, not just to learn, but to rise. The wreckage would not remain buried. It would be reborn. As the Martian winds howled above the excavation site, no one noticed the small probe hidden high in orbit. It had been watching quietly, recording everything. And as humanity uncovered the relic, the probe sent a silent signal racing across the stars. A warning to the Council. The relic was no longer silent. Though it lay broken in the red sands of Mars, something inside it had stirred. The scientists tried to convince themselves it was only a malfunction, a random surge of energy. But in their hearts, they knew the truth. This was not a dead machine. It had only been sleeping. The operation was moved underground. Massive cargo lifters, disguised as mining equipment, ferried the wreckage piece by piece into sealed hangars on Earth. Only a few trusted officials even knew of its existence. Every shipment carried with it an unspoken fear. What if the Council was already watching? Dr. Elena Cade barely slept. She stayed in the hangar day and night, watching as her team mapped the alien alloys, studied its strange symbols, and struggled to understand its design. The metal resisted every tool. Human scanners could not fully penetrate its hull. It was as though the ship itself chose what to reveal. One evening, when the others had gone, Elena walked across the darkened chamber and pressed her palm against the curved plating. The surface was cold, yet a faint warmth pulsed beneath it, like the skin of a living thing. For a heartbeat, she thought she felt it respond to her touch. The next morning, strange reports began to appear. Technicians claimed their equipment had been tampered with, yet no intruder was found. Others swore they heard voices, low, mechanical whispers echoing from the walls. Most dismissed it as fatigue, paranoia from long shifts in the lab. But Elena knew better. The ship was watching them. Then the first true secret revealed itself. While examining a cracked chamber deep within the wreck, the team uncovered a system that looked like an engine, though no human scientist could explain its structure. Unlike anything in Earth's technology, it glowed faintly when human hands brushed against it, not when machines probed it, not when robots tested it, only when flesh and blood made contact. One technician stared at his hand afterward, trembling. "It's alive," he whispered. Elena recorded every discovery, but kept her personal notes hidden. If the Council ever discovered the truth, they would come for her first, and she suspected they would not come peacefully. Weeks turned into months. Slowly, painfully, humanity began to make progress. The alien alloys were impossibly strong, but responded strangely to human tools. Some metals reshaped themselves when struck, as though remembering their old forms. Energy patterns that looked random revealed themselves to be codes, waiting for human eyes to solve them. It was as if the wreck had been waiting, not for machines, not for other aliens, but for them. But with progress came danger. Satellites orbiting Earth began detecting energy spikes near the secret hangars. At first, the signals were dismissed as solar interference, but the patterns matched nothing natural. Someone, or something, had noticed. Late one night, while reviewing the latest scans, Elena received an encrypted message from an anonymous source. It contained only a few words. "They are watching. The Council knows." Her hand shook as she deleted the file. If it was true, then every hour they delayed was a risk. But stopping was impossible. The wreckage was more than a discovery. It was hope. One night, the ship proved that hope could also be fear. Without warning, the entire hangar trembled as power surged through the wreck. Lights snapped on across its hull. Systems hummed, glowing with alien fire. Engineers scrambled for cover as alarms blared. The ship roared, not with sound, but with vibrations that rattled through bone and steel alike. And then, silence. The ship lay still once more, but something had changed. Its broken frame seemed less broken. Panels that had been shattered now looked repaired, as if the vessel itself had begun to heal. When the technicians ran the data, their voices broke with disbelief. The ship, it's rebuilding itself. Whispers spread among the workers. Some believed the relic had chosen them. Others thought they had unleashed something they could not control. A few demanded the project be shut down before it was too late. But Elena stood firm. No, she told them. We cannot stop now. This ship is not our enemy. It is our chance. None dared argue with her, because deep down, they all felt it too. Humanity had been given something extraordinary, something forbidden, something dangerous, and somewhere beyond the stars, in hidden chambers where the council met, alien voices whispered their own fears. For the secret probe orbiting Mars had transmitted every image, every sound, every flicker of light back to them. The message was clear. Humans had found an ancient war machine. And worse, they were bringing it back to life. Humanity's work on the alien wreckage intensified. Every day, more scientists, engineers, and technicians were brought in, carefully vetted for secrecy. The underground facility, hidden beneath deserts and mountains, became a hive of activity. Old freighters were repurposed as labs, and mining tunnels widened to hold alien machinery. Dr. Elena Cade moved through the facility constantly, inspecting every station. Sparks flew from welding tools, energy arcs illuminated dim corridors, and the hum of machinery filled every corner. Despite exhaustion, there was a sense of purpose that lifted the team above fear. They were no longer just scientists. They were builders of legend. The alien ship, now partially reconstructed, seemed to respond to human presence. Panels shifted slightly when touched, broken conduits realigned themselves, and faint lights pulsed rhythmically as though it had a heartbeat. The engineers began noticing patterns in the energy readings. When humans approached with intention, the systems flared to life. When left alone, the ship went dormant again. Late one night, Elena stood before the central chamber, the same crystal-like engine they had discovered on Mars. The glow of the core illuminated her face, casting shadows across the lab. She reached out, her fingers brushing against the smooth surface. For a moment, it felt like a pulse ran through her hand, straight to her chest. "They're listening," she whispered. Over the next weeks, breakthroughs came faster. Alien alloys, once impervious, began to yield to human engineering. Systems long thought dead powered up partially, displaying incomprehensible schematics on holographic projectors. The ship's eye, or what passed for intelligence, reacted to their efforts, sometimes resisting, sometimes guiding, as though teaching them. Despite progress, tension was high. Human mistakes could be catastrophic. A single miscalculation in the energy conduits could tear the facility apart. And more importantly, the Council was watching. An anonymous signal detected near Earth's orbit confirmed their fears. Recon drones had been spotted near the facility, scanning and recording every detail. Humanity's secrecy was compromised. The Council sent envoys, diplomatic vessels claiming peaceful intentions. But Elena knew better. They were testing, probing, calculating. If they discovered the full scope of the reconstruction, Earth could lose everything. Yet, humanity refused to stop. A night came when the ship itself intervened. Lights pulsed across the hull, and a low hum filled the chamber. Engineers backed away in awe. Then, a voice, or a communication of some kind, resonated in their minds. Not words, not sounds, but clear understanding. Shall we continue? Shall we awaken? Dr. Cade's hand rested on the crystal core. Yes, she whispered. From that moment, the reconstruction accelerated. Humans adapted alien technology, merging it with their own. Systems that had lain dormant for millennia began to operate in tandem with human engines, sensors, and weapons. The ship slowly transformed from wreckage into something resembling a war machine, yet unlike anything seen before. Meanwhile, the Council's doubts grew. Envoys reported strange anomalies, energy readings far beyond human capability, bursts of unknown technology, and sensors that seemed to anticipate their scanning. Some argued that humanity had crossed the line. Others dismissed it, claiming humans could never control alien tech fully. In the underground facility, secrecy became obsession. Engineers slept in shifts, waking to welding sparks, software codes, and energy pulses that hummed in the walls. Rumors spread among the staff. The ship had a will, almost like it chose its builders. Some were afraid, yet none stopped working. Then came the first test. The partial reconstruction allowed them to activate the ship's propulsion systems. The ground shook as energy coursed through the engines. Though tethered and restrained for safety, the ship moved slightly, hovering above the hangar floors. It was an eerie sight. The combination of alien curves and human modifications created something both beautiful and terrifying. Dr. Cade recorded her observations. It's alive. Not biological, but alive. It responds to us. It trusts us. And perhaps it needs us. News of the anomalies in orbit reached the Council. Reports described an enormous energy source, shifting magnetic fields, and mysterious power surges from Earth. Alarmed elders demanded answers. Humans cannot be allowed to awaken such a weapon. They do not understand it. They will destroy themselves and the galaxy. The envoys were instructed to return, but the Council's presence had already accelerated humanity's work. No longer could they hide. Every night, engineers worked under pressure, blending human ingenuity with alien technology. Weapons systems were rewired, hulls reinforced, and communication cores adapted for human control. And the ship responded. Lights flared in patterns no human had programmed. The crystal core pulsed brighter. Its energy hummed through every corridor, and a faint melodic resonance filled the chambers, almost like a song. Elena watched it carefully. She realized the truth. The ship was not only a vessel, it was a partner. It had been waiting for someone capable, someone persistent, someone who refused to obey limitations. Humanity had proven themselves. Weeks later, the first fully functional system tests began. Sensors, engines, and auxiliary modules were brought online. The ship responded instantly, moving slightly under its own power. Engineers watched in awe as their combined work breathed life into ancient technology. The Council envoys detected it in orbit, and panic spread through their ranks. Reports confirmed what they feared. Humans were close to completing what no species had dared before, rebirthing a war machine long thought lost. Deep in the command chamber, Elena's voice echoed over the facility. We are close. Almost ready. A young technician looked at her nervously. If the Council finds out, they'll try, Elena interrupted. But they cannot stop this now. Not after all we've endured. Not after what we've discovered. This is our chance to rise. And as the underground hangar filled with the soft hum of alien energy, humanity stood at a precipice. The ship, once mere wreckage, now glimmered with potential. Soon, it would be more than a discovery. Soon, it would be a weapon, a shield, and a legend. And somewhere in the dark reaches of the galaxy, the Council began to realize the terrible truth. Humanity was no longer a species to be dismissed. They were awakening. The first warning arrived silently. No fleets, no blaring alarms, only a cold official message transmitted directly to the facility's secure servers. The Galactic Council's envoys addressed Dr. Elena Cade personally. Their words were polite, almost cordial, but beneath the surface, they carried the weight of a threat. Humanity is advised to cease all experiments on the alien relic immediately. Continued work will be considered an act of defiance. The Council reserves the right to intervene. Elena read the message aloud in the main chamber, her voice steady. Around her, engineers exchanged nervous glances. Some whispered about abandoning the project. Some wondered if they had been reckless. But no one moved to stop. We've come too far, Elena said firmly. We can't let fear rule our actions. They may threaten us, but they cannot stop what we are creating here. The ship itself seemed to react to the Council's message. The crystal core pulsed faster, sending waves of energy across the chamber. Lights danced across the hull in patterns none had programmed. Engineers froze, feeling the vibrations through the floor, through the walls, even through their bones. Then it happened. A voice, or something like a voice, echoed inside the minds of those standing nearest. It was calm, measured, yet unmistakably aware. "Shall we continue?" Technicians stumbled back in shock. This was not sound. It was thought. The ship communicated directly, bypassing all machinery, speaking in a language that was neither alien nor human, yet somehow both. Dr. Cade's hand went to her chest. She felt the resonance, the connection. "Yes," she whispered back, almost instinctively. And the ship responded, pulsing, vibrating, as though acknowledging her words. The hum grew louder, more insistent. Systems that had been dormant for centuries lit up. Energy coursed along conduits in patterns that mirrored human neural activity. The wreckage was no longer passive. It had begun to guide them. Outside, the Council's presence was becoming more pronounced. Drones circled the planet, scanning, probing, measuring. Even as the humans worked in secrecy, every surge of energy, every test of alien systems was noted. Somewhere, high above in the cold void of space, a council commander frowned at his screens. "They are awakening it," he said grimly. "The humans have no right. No species should control such power. We must intervene before it grows stronger." Back on Earth, humanity did not slow. Engineers followed the subtle guidance the ship offered. Hulls that had resisted welding bent seamlessly. Engines once thought broken hummed to life. Alien power cores synchronized with human energy sources. It was as if the wreckage itself was teaching them, showing them how to complete what had been started eons ago. The first real test of integrated systems was terrifying. The chamber shook as energy surged through the alien conduits. Sparks flew, panels glowed with heat, and the hum became a roar that reverberated in every bone. Engineers struggled to control the output, but the ship seemed to stabilize itself automatically. It had learned, adapted, and integrated human understanding. Some whispered fears aloud. Is it alive? Can it think? Elena ignored the question. She knew the answer. The ship was alive, in its own way. It was aware. And it had chosen them. Meanwhile, Council envoys began direct attempts at diplomacy. They arrived in massive starships, orbiting Earth with all the subtlety of a hammer striking glass. Their messages alternated between warnings, ultimatums, and veiled threats. Cease immediately or face consequences you cannot survive. Your actions endanger not only Earth, but all of human space. Do not awaken what you cannot control. But the humans had already awoken it. In the hangar, systems began connecting automatically. Panels slid into place, engines aligned with impossible precision, and weapons that had once been locked in dormant modes now powered up, glowing faintly with alien energy. The ship's eye, if it could be called that, was now fully aware. It seemed to anticipate human commands, adjust systems preemptively, even warn engineers of errors before they occurred. For the first time, humanity felt true partnership with an alien intelligence. Fear mixed with awe, hope mixed with adrenaline. And yet, the Council's warning loomed. Satellites and drones maintained constant surveillance. Messages were recorded. Any misstep could be used as an excuse to attack. Then, one night, the ship initiated a new signal. It was no longer subtle. It reached out to humans directly, not through wires or machinery, but through thought, shared memory, and intuition. We were made for war, it conveyed. We were made to protect. Will you lead, or will you falter? Dr. Cade's eyes glowed with determination. We will lead, she said aloud. We have no choice but to finish what we started. The galaxy has underestimated humanity for too long. The engineers, though hesitant, echoed her resolve. They were now part of something larger than themselves, something that could change history. The Council monitored the energy surges from orbit and panicked. They are going beyond all reason, one commander shouted. We must act before the humans complete it. If they succeed, nothing can stop them. But it was too late. The ship was already awake. Every system responsive, every weapon online, every engine pulsing. Humanity had crossed the line the Council had warned them not to. And now, the galaxy would watch. The days passed with tense urgency. Humanity's engineers worked around the clock, guided by the alien ship's intelligence. Every night, lights flickered across the underground hangar, engines hummed, and weapon systems aligned themselves with precision humans had never imagined. The ship had become more than metal. It was a living partner, breathing with energy and purpose. But trust was fragile. Not everyone shared the vision. Somewhere among the engineers, a traitor moved silently. Information about the reconstruction had been leaked. Council agents, hidden in plain sight, intercepted fragments of energy readings, schematics, and encrypted communications. Earth's secret was no longer entirely hidden. Dr. Cade first suspected betrayal when a communication console displayed an unauthorized transmission. She traced it immediately, but the signal vanished before she could fully intercept it. Panic flickered in her chest. They had worked too hard, risked too much, and now someone had endangered everything. She gathered her senior team. "We have a leak," she said quietly. "The Council may know more than we hoped. Every system, every procedure, double-check it. We cannot allow them to take the ship before it is ready." Meanwhile, orbiting satellites detected anomalies. Council vessels, cloaked in stealth, edged closer to Earth. Their fleets were small, calculated, precise, enough to intimidate but not fully engage. They were testing, observing, waiting for a reason to strike. In the hangar, the ship seemed to sense the threat. Its crystal core pulsed faster, energy streaking along conduits with a strange urgency. Panels realigned, engines hummed louder, and for the first time, the vessel emitted a low vibration that resonated through the bones of everyone in the chamber. The ship spoke, not in words, but in thought. "They will come. Shall we fight?" Alina's heart raced. "Not yet," she replied. "We are not ready. But we will be." The traitor acted soon after. Files containing partial schematics of the reconstructed vessel were transmitted into space, aimed toward a Council command ship. In the blink of an eye, the Council knew the scale of humanity's project. Within hours, orders arrived. The Council fleet would mobilize. They intended to seize Earth and destroy the ship before it could awaken fully. Panic spread among the staff. Some urged immediate deactivation, fearing total annihilation. Others insisted on completing the final stages, arguing that only a finished war machine could ensure humanity's survival. Alina's voice cut through the chaos. "We do not hide anymore. We finish this ship. And if the Council wants war, we will meet it head-on." The hangar shifted into final assembly mode. Engineers worked in fevered synchrony with the ship's guidance, attaching armored plating, activating weapon systems, and integrating power cores. The alien vessel seemed almost alive, moving parts into place with intelligence and intent. Then the first engines roared. Not fully active, but enough to shake the chamber floor. Sparks flew, lights glared, and a hum echoed that vibrated the air itself. Every human in the room felt it. Power unlike anything they had seen before. Outside, Council scouts had confirmed activity. Their sensors traced energy surges and structural movement, unmistakably human in origin. Panic gripped their command. "They've completed the core assembly," one officer shouted. "The war machine is alive." Back on Earth, Alina's team ignored the warnings. The ship lifted slightly, tethered for safety, and hovered above the hangar floor. Its hull glowed with energy, a mixture of alien technology and human ingenuity. It was beautiful. It was terrifying. It was unstoppable. Then the first attack came, not fully deployed, but a test. A Council drone approached too close. The ship reacted instinctively. Weapons discharged, energy beams slicing through the vacuum of orbit with precision unmatched by any human pilot. The drone exploded in a flash of light. Engineers cheered, fear mixing with exhilaration. Alina knew the Council would escalate. They would bring the full fleet if provoked. But humanity's gamble had paid off. The ship, now fully aware, had defended itself instinctively. The traitor was exposed during the commotion. Security forces apprehended him before he could transmit more data, but the damage was done. The Council knew. They were coming. Elena turned to the ship's core. They will arrive soon, she projected in thought. Are we ready? The crystal pulsed brighter. Energy coursed across conduits, weapon systems aligning automatically. The ship responded with clarity. We were built for this. We are ready. For the first time, humanity felt true power. Not merely survival, but dominance. The wreckage that had lain buried for millennia was no longer a relic. It was a war machine, a symbol. And now, it stood ready to meet the galaxy's greatest threats. Outside, the Council's fleet appeared on the edge of the system, glimmering like a storm of stars. Ships of every size and shape, weapons charged, moving with silent precision. They intended to intimidate, to strike fear into humanity. But inside the hangar, the humans felt no fear, only resolve. The war machine waited, humming with alien power and human will. Its crystal core pulsed in unison with every heartbeat, every thought, every hope in the chamber. Elena whispered, "Let them come." And somewhere far away, the Council realized, too late, that they had awakened a force they could not fully control. Humanity was no longer hiding. Humanity was rising. The first battle had not yet begun, but the galaxy already trembled. The first rays of Earth's sun glinted off the hangar as the Council fleet entered the system. Thousands of ships stretched across the black void, their weapons charged, sensors scanning for the alien wreckage humanity had awakened. For the first time, the galaxy would witness what humans had built in secret. Inside the underground facility, Elena Cade stood before the war machine. The crystal core glowed brighter than ever, pulsing with energy that seemed alive. The ship had grown beyond a mere machine. It was a symphony of alien technology and human ingenuity. Every panel, every weapon, every engine was active, waiting for command. Engineers took their stations, hands trembling but faces determined. The ship's eye, if it could be called that, communicated directly through thought. They come. Are we ready? Elena's heartbeat matched the pulse of the core. We are ready, she projected. Do what you were made for. The hangar shook as the ship lifted, breaking free from its restraints. It hovered silently above the desert, an immense shadow against the rising sun. Its weapons glowed with power, energy arcs running along its hull like veins of lightning. The Council's sensors would have described it as a nightmare, an impossible war machine, alive and fully operational. The first Council scout approached cautiously, a sleek vessel, armed but small compared to the main fleet. It had no idea what it was about to face. The war machine responded instinctively. A beam of pure energy erupted from its weapon systems, slicing through the scout's hull in an instant. The ship didn't hesitate. It moved with precision and purpose, destroying one vessel after another. Elena watched as the battlefield unfolded. The hangar's viewing screens displayed incoming Council ships. Thousands more were advancing, but the humans had an advantage. They were fighting with something the galaxy had never seen, a weapon that combined human determination with alien genius. The war machine maneuvered with uncanny speed, weapons targeting enemies before human operators could even think. Engines flared, energy shields rippled, and beams of destructive power tore through Council vessels. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, and now it would pay. In the command chamber, engineers shouted and cheered, adrenaline mixing with fear. Every attack was precise, every defense calculated. The ship seemed to anticipate Council strategies, countering them before they could strike effectively. But the battle was not without cost. Smaller support crafts were damaged, energy systems strained, and the hangar trembled under the force of the engines. Elena knew they could not last forever. Humanity had awakened something immense, but the Council would not retreat. The Council fleet adjusted tactics, launching coordinated strikes. Beams of concentrated energy ripped through the atmosphere, targeting the war machine. Yet each attack was met with response. Shields flared, countermeasures activated, and weapons discharged with lethal efficiency. Elena felt a strange connection with the ship. It responded to her commands instinctively, moved as she thought, and fought with a strategy that was almost human, but far superior. Every council vessel destroyed sent a message across the void. Humanity was no longer to be ignored. Then, the core pulsed violently. A new surge of energy enveloped the ship, and its weapons glowed brighter than before. The alien technology, combined with human adaptation, had reached full power. It was no longer just defense. It was offense incarnate. The Council's command vessels faltered. They had never faced a force like this. Every calculation, every prediction failed. Humanity's ship moved with a fluidity that made traditional tactics useless. Elena whispered to herself, "This is only the beginning." The battle raged, but humanity held its ground. The war machine destroyed wave after wave of council ships, leaving wreckage floating silently in the void. The message was clear. Earth was no longer a weak, defenseless planet. Humanity had returned, stronger, faster, smarter. As the first council vessels retreated, a hush fell over the hangar. Engineers cheered, exhausted but triumphant. The ship hovered silently, its weapons powered down but ready, its core still pulsing like a heartbeat. Elena looked at her team. "We've done what no one believed possible," she said. "We've shown the galaxy what humanity can do when pushed to the edge." The council would regroup. They would return, stronger, with more ships, more weapons, more strategy. But for now, the humans had won. And the war machine had proven its power, not just to destroy, but to inspire fear and respect across the stars. Above the desert, the war machine hovered silently. Its glow reflected in the eyes of every human who had dared to awaken it. It was a living legend, forged from wreckage and human will. The galaxy would remember this day. And somewhere in the void, the council trembled. They had awakened something they could no longer control. Humanity was no longer a minor threat. They were a force, a warship, and now a legend. The void of space seemed quieter than ever after the first battle. Wreckage floated in orbit around Earth, a silent testament to humanity's triumph. The Council fleet had retreated, battered and broken, leaving behind only fragments of their arrogance. Humanity had survived the first encounter. And not merely survived, but had risen. Inside the underground hangar, Elena Cade stood before the war machine, her eyes reflecting the pulsing glow of its core. The ship was no longer just a vessel. It was alive, aware, and bound to humanity. Every panel, every engine, every weapon radiated power. It had grown beyond their initial understanding, a perfect synthesis of alien brilliance and human will. Engineers moved among the systems, making final calibrations, checking every shield, every laser, every engine output. Despite exhaustion, excitement filled the chamber. They had done the impossible. They had awakened a legend. "We must prepare for their return." The ship's voice echoed and fought, calm but unmistakably intelligent. "They will not forget this day." Helena nodded. "We are ready. And this time, we decide the terms." Months passed. Humanity fortified Earth's defenses, deploying satellites, automated systems, and advanced weaponry. The war machine was no longer confined to a hangar. It patrolled orbit, ready to engage, ready to protect, ready to strike. Every council scout that approached found itself outmatched, repelled by technology and strategy humans had only begun to master. The council convened in secret, their deliberations heated and fearful. "They have changed," an elder spoke, voice trembling. "They are no longer a primitive species. They have taken an alien weapon, mastered it, and turned it into something unstoppable. If we confront them, we risk annihilation." Another voice argued, "We cannot allow humanity to grow unchecked. If they expand further, the galaxy itself may fall under their influence." But the truth was clear even to the Council. Humanity had crossed a threshold. They had awakened a power no one could ignore, and the legend of Earth's war machine had begun to spread. On Earth, Elena and her team prepared the ship for its next demonstration. This time, it would not be hidden. Humanity needed to show the galaxy that they had risen, and that their rise was permanent. The war machine lifted above the planet, engines flaring, shields shimmering, weapons glowing like distant stars. Every sensor and communicator on council vessels recorded the spectacle. Humanity did not strike. They did not attack. They only demonstrated what they had become. The council watched in silence. They had expected a primitive planet, incapable of standing against galactic powers. They had underestimated humans, and the consequences were clear. The ship hovered, massive and radiant, its crystal core pulsing in time with the heartbeat of those who had built it. It was alive, sentient, and entirely human in its allegiance. Messages of warning and awe spread across the galaxy. Humanity has returned. Humanity is not weak. Humanity is prepared. Back in the hangar, engineers and scientists cheered. For years, they had labored in secrecy, faced betrayal, and risked annihilation. Now, their work had not only survived, it had transcended expectation. Elena addressed the team. "We have done what no one thought possible. We have taken a relic of the past and turned it into the future. We have become a legend, not through conquest, but through determination, courage, and unity." The Council's fleets did not attack again immediately. They observed, calculated, and realized that humanity was no longer a species to be controlled. Every attempt to engage could be catastrophic. Humanity had proven they could defend themselves, and more than defend, they could dominate. Over the following months, humanity's presence in the galaxy grew. Exploratory missions, guided by the war machine, reached new star systems. Advanced technology, adapted from the alien wreck, allowed faster-than-light travel, unmatched communication, and weaponry that no other species possessed. But humanity did not strike first. They established themselves as a power to be respected, a force capable of turning any threat into dust. Tales spread across distant stars. Humans had awakened a war machine from ancient times, mastered it, and used it not just to survive, but to rise. And the legend grew. The war machine became a symbol, a guardian of Earth, a statement to the galaxy. Wherever the Council or hostile species looked, they saw the unmistakable glow of humanity's creation. And they understood. Humans were no longer to be dismissed. Elena stood on the bridge, looking at the stars. The ship hummed gently beneath her feet, responsive to thought, aware, alive. She smiled, realizing the truth they had discovered through struggle, fear, and determination. Humanity did not need to conquer to be legendary. Humanity simply had to awaken what was already within. The galaxy will remember this. The ship projected in thought. They will never forget the humans who rose from the ruins of silence. Elena nodded. "And we will continue to rise," she said. "Always forward, always ready, always human." The war machine lifted into orbit, engines glowing, shields shimmering, weapons ready. But for now, it waited. The galaxy trembled, not from fear of immediate attack, but from the realization that Earth had awakened something greater than war. It had awakened legend, courage, and the unstoppable force of humanity. And so, the story of humanity's rise spread across the stars. Legends were born, enemies feared, allies respected. A simple planet, long overlooked, had transformed into a beacon of power, resilience, and hope. The war machine hovered above, silent and mighty, awaiting the next chapter. Humanity had proven one undeniable truth. They were no longer to be underestimated. They were the architects of their destiny, the masters of alien fire, and the legends of a galaxy that would never forget their name. The stars themselves seemed to bend before Earth's glory, and somewhere in the dark corners of the galaxy, the Council whispered in fear and awe, "Humanity has returned, and nothing will ever be the same."